Welcome to Talent Energy Stadium, Philly Soccer Page pregame live. I'm Peter Andrews along with Philly Voices Kevin Kincaid here as we get set for Philadelphia Union taking on DC United about 45 minutes before kickoff. Game between two bottom dwellers in the Eastern Conference. Union looking to avoid their second four-game losing streak of the year. What's the mood been like around the practice facility this week?
I think it's still fine. I think they know that they can't panic. It wasn't. They just got themselves out of a four-game losing streak to win 4 games in a row. But, the takeaway from that is that if they lose tonight, then we're kind of back to square one. All of the goodwill, I think, that came from climbing out of the basement kind of goes away, and it really wasn't that long. End of May, right, was that they capped it off, and here we are 3 weeks into June. So that just shows how quickly things can change around here. But, before DC won on Wednesday night, this was supposed to be 10th place Philadelphia versus 11th place United, and because DC beat Atlanta 2-1 at RFK on Wednesday night, now DC's 9th and the Union are in 11th, 6 points off the line. So you lose tonight, you go back 9 points. Well, no, you'd be 6 points behind DC, and then probably 8 or 9 off. No, 8 or 9 off the line. And you're almost at the halfway point. This would be game 16, and then one more game we're halfway there. So I think this game's more important than other people do, just because of the fact that you're almost halfway there, and your mark at this point, based on where they've been at this point in seasons past, says that they're not going to make the playoffs if they lose a couple more.
So the losing streak's been bad. They have not looked very good. I particularly think there's problems with offensively, not enough chance creation. Jim Curtin disagrees with that, but they're not getting good looks in front of goal. What do you think the solution is there?
Yeah, I think it starts with the number 10 position. Everybody knows what CJ is. He's streaky, scores a bunch of goals, gets the hat trick to get to 8, and then he scored against Harrisburg in the Open Cup the other night. But I don't think he's scored an MLS play since the hat trick, right? Am I wrong about that? Okay, so they need more from Ilsinho, and they need more from Chris Pontius as well. Chris Pontius, for as well as he's done in the assist category this year, still has 0 goals.
Right.
And Fafa Picault comes in the lineup, scores a couple, but they need him to score as well. That line of 3 behind the striker, if CJ's not doing it, it has to come from somebody else, because that's the way they're built. It's the way they play. 4-2-3-1. The striker's main objective is not necessarily to score, but to hold the ball and let everybody else score. So it starts with those 2 wide midfielders for me, because they're going to be more of a goal threat, I think.
Well, the other big addition to the lineup tonight, Alejandro Bedoya is back after international duty injury. Yeah. He'll be slotting inside next to Harris Medunian. You wrote this week about how New York Red Bulls did a really good job of sort of closing Harris Medunian's space off, didn't have a usual solid game. How do you think having Bedoya back, will we see more from Harris tonight, more from that defensive midfield
Yeah,
position?
I think it was a combination of Red Bull just kind of squeezing him and not giving him a lot of room, and also I think he was having a lot of difficulty with the heat this week. Yeah, did you see that too? I mean, I don't think you can understate that. I think that first off, we see him wear long sleeves every time he's out here, and that was the first time I've ever seen him wearing short sleeves before. So I wouldn't underestimate that at all. But when you look at his chart at the end of the game, a lot of his actions took place in his half of the field, and that's okay. That's where a lot of them start. But you saw almost no activity in that other half of the field, even balls that he attempted from inside the half to the other half, which shows that he wasn't hitting on those long diagonals that he usually hits so well. But the spacing is also different, I think, when Ali plays next to him. With Derek Jones, I think you see pop up a lot on the left side of the field. On the other side of the field, Ali always trends to the other side of the field. Naturally, I think because he's right-footed and also because he played as a winger before, right. And then Harris, being left-footed, tends to get the ball and open up facing this way. So
more field coverage with that pairing.
I think so too. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for that. Derek just plays it a lot differently than Ali does. That's not to say that they don't understand the spacing, but they have a different comfort. Their area of comfort on the field is completely opposite. And Harris, when he gets the ball, he normally opens up facing on his strong foot. So keep an eye on that tonight and see if that makes a difference.
Well, of course, the last time the Union played DC United, Harris scored a rocket of a goal from 35 yards out to beat Bill Hamid. So another lineup change tonight. Obviously, we can never have too many lineup changes.
No.
They're the big one tonight. Giuliano Wijnaldum comes in for Fabinho on the left. We don't know right now whether that's injury or whether that's form. Or I have not been impressed with Fabinho's recent outings. And Wijnaldum looked good in the Open Cup match.
Yeah, and I think everybody knows that he's the future at that position, and Fabi, not to take anything away from him, but, he's not. He's on the last year of his contract. He's 32 years old now, had a couple mistakes and turnovers in last week. There was one I remember.
Turnover that led to the red card.
led to the red card. Yeah, he just sort of takes it straight up the field and then loses it. I thought Fabi was really improved last year, and I thought he was one of the better players on the team last year, but he's definitely taken a step backwards this year. And look, I know that Jim doesn't want to change it when that personnel grouping that he was putting out there had won 4 games in a row. Okay, but that same group that was 4-0 is now 4-3, and could be 4-4 at the end of the night if they lose. So at what point are you saying, we're going back to plan A, and we're going to put Yarrow back on the field, we're going to put Marquez on the field, we're going to put Rosenberry on the field? So it's interesting. I don't know if it's an injury or not, because the reason Fabi's not on the bench may very well just be because Ray is also the left backup. So it could have been something late, or it could have just been personal decision. Yeah.
Are you disappointed at all after what I thought was a pretty good rookie season from Josh Yarrow? He's fought back from injury, and he can't quite crack the starting lineup over third or fourth round draft pick and 35-year-old Iguchi Onyewu.
Yeah. I thought it was strange too when they brought him in. As a sub in the New York City game, when they had when they had an opportunity to play him with Steele the week before, or like a couple days before or something, and then we saw midweek this week they played Josh Yarrow, Keegan Rosenberry, Giuliano Wijnaldum, and Richie Marquez as the back 4 in Bethlehem. So if that was always in the plans to get them minutes at Bethlehem, why not do that before you put Josh back in the New York City game, and then had Jack Elliott go up and play D-mid in a position he's never played before at this level? Right. When you could have just had a straight swap there. So I don't know. It just feels like they could have handled it better. But if they insist on playing him as a center back and he's healthy, then he's the future, and Iguchi Onyewu not.
Now for DC, the main thing with the DC lineup is everyone's old friend Sebastian Two is back at Talon for the first time since he was traded last year.
Yeah.
He is starting for Ben Olsen's side. He was very unhappy with the way he left Philly. He's definitely scoring tonight, right?
It's interesting because I was thinking at the beginning of the year, I'm like, he's such a Ben Olsen kind of player, isn't he? Veteran, like grinder, hard worker. Yeah, I mean, I knew that sooner or later he'd be in the starting lineup for this team. I didn't think it would be as early as it was, but also they haven't really gotten much out of their attack. They went like how many games in a row without scoring? So they have Ortiz playing up top to start tonight, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Deshaun Brown come in around 55, 60 minutes. Yeah, Deshaun, who the Union were really familiar with him when he played at Reading. And going way back to 2013, John Hackworth was interested in drafting Deshaun Brown, and they wanted to flip Freddie Adu at the time to try to get up higher in position to do it, but they couldn't.
I figure no one wanted Freddie Adu, though.
Oh, I know, yeah. The irony there. They couldn't flip him even to get up in the draft. So Deshaun Brown was a guy that they always liked, and they tried to get him, but he ended up in Colorado, went to Vålerenga in Norway, and then ended up in China, I think, before he came back to Tampa. And he should have just come straight back to MLS because he's a great player, really, really fast, a guy you can get behind. I think you have to have a lead by the time he comes on in the second half, because he's not a guy you want coming off the bench. No. You know what you're getting in Sebastian, obviously, but Deshaun Brown's a different kind of player.
Well, we'll see if the Union can possibly grab a lead. They have not been scoring very much recently.
No.
So I will just, before we wrap up here, we'll check the Twitter and see if anyone's got questions. This is our first of these Pregame live shows. Thanks very much to Dan Gadjanowicz and Ryan Griffiths, our great video. Our great video team here at Philly Soccer Page. So there are no questions. It's fine.
No questions.
Yeah, after the game. So we'll be back after the game after we talk to Jim Curtin and go in the locker room.
Listen, also let me say this before we wrap up.
Yeah.
This team right now is 4-7-4.
Yeah.
Okay, and if they lose tonight, they go to 4-8-4. Last year they finished 9-14. What was it? 9-14-8. I want to say. So if they hit this record 4-8-4 at the halfway point, they would have to go 7-6-4. I think down the stretch to match their record from last year. Yeah. And I don't know if you see it, but I just don't see them going above 500 the second half of the year.
Either new personnel or
a
completely different attitude than what we've been seeing recently. I've not been impressed with the way this team has, not just the way they've played, but I feel like there's not that energy and fire that we see from them.
Yeah, killer instinct. Especially what we've seen in years past, Jim Curtin's record in September and October is not great. So there's nothing to tell you going back into recent history that they're going to be able to have that record above 500 down the stretch.
All right, before we wrap up, prediction for the game?
You know what? I'm going to say it's I just have a feeling you're not going to have a 4-game losing streak, a 4-game winning streak, and a 4-game losing streak. I'll say it's like a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I was going to say this screams 1-1 or 2-2 to me, and I think one of those goals will be from Sebastian Letou. No
You'll
question.
see. We'll see, yeah.
So we'll be back after the game. Thanks so much for tuning in. For Kevin Kincaid and Peter Andrews, Philly Soccer Page pregame show. Thanks for watching.